What is happening, guys? It's your boy TC back with another video. So why do we make things difficult for ourselves? We make life absolutely horrendous for ourselves, and of course, as you may all know, the result is 3-1 to Rennes. So we've ended up losing the first tie, or the first leg of the last 16 in the Europa League against a third tier French team. Absolutely ridiculous in my opinion, but we're going to discuss what's taken place in the match, why we've ended up losing 3-1, and what we can do to actually try and claw back this tie. So let's just talk about the starting lineup on the evening. So in goal, as anticipated, we had Petr Cech in goal. At right back, again as anticipated, we saw Mustafi coming in. The central defenders were Sokratis as well as Koscielny. At left back, we had Monreal, again as anticipated. In the middle of the park, it was Xhaka as well as Torreira. The two wide players were Iwobi as well as Mkhitaryan, and behind the striker we had Mesut Ozil starting the game. So I believe this was his first start since Boxing Day, away start that is. And up top we had Aubameyang due to the suspension of Lacazette. So of course the game started off absolutely brightly. I did think at that particular point when we scored 4 minutes in, a cross-come shot from Iwobi, that we had this tie in control. Up until then, really, when we scored, we had the game under wraps, we had the game under control. It was 35 minutes in, up until things changed. So Iwobi got onto the score sheet. He's actually better than any of the other seasons he's played for Arsenal in terms of scoring goals. He's got 5 goals now this season, so brilliant season for him so far. But his goal was fantastic. It looked like a cross to me, but it ended up creeping into the bottom corner of the net, and the keeper didn't have a chance to actually save it at all, and we found ourselves 1-0. So as I said, at that point I thought, wow, okay, it's going to be a good evening. And then come 35 minutes, Sokratis, don't know what he was doing. Initially, he got booked for challenge on Ben Arfa, which was his second challenge or second offence really in the game. So initially the ref let him off, didn't give him a yellow card, gave him a speaking to or talking to, if you want to call it that. And then not too long after that, he actually ended up bundling down Sarr, a player who's got loads and loads of pace in his bag, and he did not stand a chance. Sarr was going to be clean for on goal. However, if you look at the other angle, it looks as if Koscielny was going to be able to sort of cover, although Sarr would have had an option to pass to his right hand side. But Sokratis, like an amateur or a novice, if you want to call it that, decided to bundle the player. Of course, the foul was questionable. It looks as if Sarr kind of made a meal out of it, but Sokratis should have been slightly a little bit more clever, bit more experienced, and he shouldn't have taken the player down. Of course, it wasn't a penalty. It ended up being a free kick as well as a red card. So you'd think, right, from a free kick, they may not make anything happen from it. So initially the wall did its job. The ball was struck into the wall. Rather than charge the ball down and clear, this was Aubameyang at Mesut Ozil. I do believe Iwobi and someone else was part of that particular wall. Rather than charge the ball down, they've ended up turning their backs to the ball. And the guy who's ended up taking the free kick has had a second bite at the cherry, blasted the ball in. Petr Cech, no chance, and it's 1-1. At that point, their crowd are absolutely hyped. They're jumping for joy, and bearing in mind the crowd has been hyped since minute 1, this is a huge occasion for them. Any challenge they were contesting, they were shouting. I do believe the crowd played a huge part in influencing the ref, but that's another story for another day. So of course their crowd is extremely hyped, and they've gone 1-0 and going into the second half. But at that point, we're going into second half with 10 men. You'd think Unai Emery would make a few changes. We've ended up seeing Mkhitaryan playing as a right back, which showed today that he's not a defender. Kept getting skinned, kept getting beaten, and of course from that particular point the match wasn't in our hands. Rennes were posing a huge threat going forward, applying a lot of pressure, and essentially whenever the ball was switched, we were short on whatever side they were switching the ball on. To be fair to Monreal, he did a fantastic job in the first half to nullify Sarr, but Sarr was sort of drifting left or right, and each time he found himself on the left hand side of their pitch, it was causing us a lot of issues. That's when we ended up getting a red card from Sokratis. but Nacho Monreal did a fantastic job, in my opinion, to sort of nullify him. However, as it got into the second half, and the second half got further and further in, Nacho Monreal was getting tired, and he was sort of struggling to keep pace with him. And basically, their second goal came in courtesy of an own goal to Nacho Monreal. Sort of came off his thigh, or his knee, if you want to call it that. He went to clear the ball. It was a cross. There wasn't really any imminent danger. They did have a lot of players within our box, but Nacho Monreal went to clear it, and it's ended up into the back of the net. And I do believe the second goal was certainly avoidable. So at that point, you're thinking, right, if we can take a 2-1 defeat back to the Emirates, we can certainly work with that. We can do something. Of course, we've got one away goal, which holds a lot of weight. However, we've ended up conceding a third goal pretty much in the dying minutes of the game. Again, the ball was switched, and bearing in mind we had just taken a throw-in, we've lost possession. They've switched the ball to the left-hand side of their pitch, and before you know it, a beautiful cross is coming in, and Sarr is at the end of it. So during the game, I had tweeted that Sarr will end up getting on the score sheet based on the amount of pressure that they were applying, how he was playing. We weren't struggling to deal with him as such, but he was causing us a lot of issues throughout the whole game. Of course, as mentioned, Sokratis, huge culprit. As soon as he left, everything fell apart, and he should have been slightly a little bit more experienced. Aubameyang was non-existent, in my opinion. Had a couple of chances here and there, but didn't make anything count whatsoever. Mesut Ozil, again, was a passenger. Wasn't really impressive throughout the whole game. Made 1 or 2 decent passes. One was for Iwobi, but nothing came off that pass, of course. Again, he was a passenger throughout the whole game. Mkhitaryan was obviously subdued to playing as a right back, so his attacking opportunities were again limited. In the middle of the park, Xhaka was all right. He was actually trying to control the game, switching the ball left and right, but when we found ourselves 10 men down, he was obviously then limited to defending yet again. Torreira had a fairly decent game as well. Koscielny, a decent game if you want to call it that, but of course overall I wasn't really pleased with the result. Petr Cech made some important saves. We could have conceded 4 or 5 goals in the day, but he made a couple of good important saves. So what happens when we go back to the Emirates? Of course, we play them again on Thursday. I do believe we can turn this around. It's not dead and buried. As long as we can make sure that they don't score at the Emirates, then we should be okay. And I believe at home we can score 2+ goals. It's going to be an extremely difficult game. We were expecting a difficult game, but we need to wait for the second leg. But as usual, please do let me know what you think in the comments below. If you're watching this video and you're not subscribed to the channel, please do make sure that you do hit that subscribe button. So once again, guys, it's your boy TC from I'm Gonna Talk TV, and I'm out.